Welcome to episode 4 of Shuffle of Death here on Rick Renegade's Metal Collection. Surprisingly, I got to do a couple videos kind of back to back, so yay. And I will say my phone has picked out a pretty lame bunch of CDs for the most. Well, okay, the first 3 are pretty lame. I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a interesting episode. I will say, sometimes I actually have a lot of fun talking about stuff that I don't like. I don't know why; it's just kind of fun. But let's start, okay? So the first thing my phone decided to curse me with last week was, let's see here. Let me get out the CD. Black Sabbath. I know, it's pretty bad when you have to say that and you're talking about a curse. Never Say Die. Okay, some people like this album. I'm just kind of asking why. It's not really like the worst thing I've ever heard. It's just so very blah. Like, I hear a lot of good ideas, like a lot of cool ideas with Tony Iommi's riffs, and I just it just doesn't go anywhere. And Ozzy sounds fine, but even like Ozzy's vocal lines aren't memorable. And I think this is kind of around the time I think there were some issues with the band, with Ozzy and the rest of the guys. And I know Ozzy ended up being fired not too long after this era, so. I will say once they got Dio, things definitely picked up, but this is just such a blah album. I mean, it's not like it's so bad I got to turn it off. It's listenable. It's just nothing grabs me. It just never grabs me, and I try every several months or once a year to give this album a shot, and I just can't do it. This was in Technical Ecstasy. I just can't sit through it without getting bored. I hate to say that because it's Black Sabbath. I love Black Sabbath, but yeah. And it barely even sounds like Black Sabbath with Ozzy. I mean, it's just like a totally different sound. I don't know. I would avoid it. Only get it if you're a collector, like me. Some info about the album. That came out in 1978. Gets a 60% on Metal Archives, which honestly I agree with. I might even give it a 50% personally. And that is their 8th album. So almost forgot the details because I was wanting to kind of vent about my feelings about that album. Oh boy, this one's one of the worst. This is probably one of the worst things in my whole collection. I hate to say it, but which is weird because the band here is Q5. Okay, so this came out in 86, the year I was born. This gets a 35% on Metal Archives, and that is so very fair. I might even give it less. And this is the second Q5 album. Now, their first album actually was a good, solid metal album. I don't know what happened here. I think they were trying to go super commercial, and it did not work. It's not even, this album's not even metal. It's barely even rock. It's just 80s pop garbage. I don't even know what you call it. I just call it trash. And interesting enough about the band Q5, they actually had a guitarist by the name of Floyd Rose. And if that name sounds familiar, yes, he is the guy that invented the Floyd Rose on the guitar, the little tuning mechanism. So that's really neat. And believe it or not, I actually got to see Q5 live one time. It was a good show. If they played stuff off of this, I don't remember. They probably didn't. I just don't remember. But yeah, avoid this like the plague, man. I would probably give this like a 15%. I don't like it. Oh yeah, we're starting off great, aren't we? Uh, it gets a little better here. Um, Not by a lot, but it does get a little better. Okay, I know, I'm a German speed metal fanatic. I'm supposed to love this. I like it, but I don't. It's not one of my favorites. But Vampire, Cry Out for Metal. Um, okay, it's German speed metal. I like that. I like the style. There's just a lot of flaws with this band that kind of, I can't put it up there with the best of like Running Wild and Iron Angel and Angel Dust. I just can't put it up there because there's just so many flaws, even though I like this. So a little bit of details. This came out in '85. This gets a 78%. I would probably give it like a 70 myself. And this is the only album they ever did. Okay, so the things that I don't like that drag it down for me is the production's not very good for this type of music. It just this is not the Storm Spell copy either. This is a different one. So Under Fire Records. So I don't know if there's a sound difference, but it just lacks a lot of bottom end. Like it doesn't. The production just don't have enough power to it for one to really make it powerful. Um, it just the it's just too it's raw in all the wrong ways. It's raw in a way that makes it hard to listen to, not to really add to the brutality, but it just makes it hard to listen to. It's just too gritty for its own good. And the singer kind of gets on my nerves just a little bit. He's not bad, but he's not my favorite. Boy, I sounded negative today. uh okay, and funny enough, like even the lyrics are kind of weird. Like they just sound stupid. Like there's a song called Indianapolis. Believe it or not, a German band wrote a song called Indianapolis, and that's basically where I'm from. So that is really interesting. But so it's basically about the Indy 500, and somehow they turned the Indy 500 into some kind of satanic thing. I'm not buying it, guys. That's just kind of goofy. And especially when he's like, "You're gonna die." Like, why? It's just cheesy. I don't know, man. Turning indie racing into some evil metal thing, it doesn't really work. But it's a good album. It's worth having. If you're a German speed metal fan, don't skip it. But it's for me, it's not one of my top favorites, man. I would rather have like Iron Angel's Hellish Crossfire. Now that's different. It gets vastly better here from now on though. So okay, Crystal Viper, Legends album. This came out in 2010. Gets a 78% on Metal Archives, which I think is unfair. I would totally give this album like a 90. Oh boy, I think I would give this a 95%, honestly. I actually really highly enjoy this. And this is their third album. So this is a female-fronted band by Marta Gabriel. And usually I don't collect a lot of newer metal bands. Like, we're talking like 2010 onward. Well, even like, I don't know. I kind of feel like if it's a band that started in the 2000s, I don't feel like I collect that stuff as much. There might be a few, but this is one of those ones where when I first heard them, I was like, that's pretty good. Marta's an awesome, she's a guitarist and singer, and she's great at both. The music is really well written. It's very epic, memorable. I mean, this isn't one of those albums that I would say like rewrote the genre or anything, but it's just really good, solid stuff, man. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy it, and the album after it is even better. But yeah, so definitely check out Crystal Viper. It's one of those exceptions that I jumped into. Next, so this is odd. I've got like 20,000 songs on my phone, and somehow it picks Falconer twice in 4 episodes. Okay, well, I can't complain because I love me some Falconer. So this is the Scepter of Deception. This came out in 03. That's crazy, man. I feel like I'm getting old. 84% on Metal Archives, which is not fair. I would, again, I would say this probably gets a 95 to 100 or 98%, somewhere around there. To me, this is one of the best power metal albums ever. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is their 3rd album. And this is kind of an oddity. Honestly, the first 3 Falconer albums I can probably put at about 98% to 100% rating because they're just perfect. And the oddity about this one, though, this one did not have Matthias Blad, who was the original singer. Now, it does feature him a little bit as almost more of a guest vocalist at times. But it has a different guy. But, you know, this is one of those weird situations where it doesn't drag the album down. It doesn't even hurt it. I actually love the way this guy sounds. And I remember my friend Dave, way back in the day, actually showed me this album, and I liked it. And I didn't know anything about Matthias Blad. This was the first one I heard, and I liked it a lot. And then I got the first 2 albums. I'm like, oh, there's a different guy on it. And I was surprised, but either way, this guy still has a lot of magic to his voice. He doesn't have quite that baritone sound that like Matthias Blad does, but it works so well. Like, this is just one of the most magic. Like, today is a perfect day. Nice fall weather. I would love to like just cruise through like the country and through a, you know, a forested area. Like, this would just so fit that mood so well. The medieval elements and everything. Oh yeah, it is one of the best albums of all time. Undoubtedly. Dave is totally right about that. And of all the things Dave's ever showed me, when we were first like hanging out, like early 2000s, this is probably the best thing he ever showed me. So shout out to Dave. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say. So it started off really bad and then got like better, a lot better. So I don't know. So there's definitely a silver lining to all that. But so if you like this video, like, subscribe, and well, till next time, I'll see what fate brings us. So see ya.